Today we want to welcome you to a tour of the S&S Activewear warehouse in Lockport, Illinois. S&S Activewear is a leading apparel distributor specializing in B2B and retail sales of blank sportswear, corporate apparel, and accessories.
Today we're here to showcase the goods-to-person solution from Geekplus, one of the most automated facilities using the goods-to-person pop pick technology in the world. We've got the robotic workstations, the robotic AMRs, and truly a marvel.
And this site here today was the first one that we deployed for S&S. But since its first deployment, we've also rolled this same solution out to a number of other sites within the network.
So as we journey through the facility today, we'll start at the beginning. In receiving, we'll move through decanting, into put away, through the picking process, and show you some of the metrics and the key success points of the project.
So we're here receiving, which is really the starting point within this facility. So this is where the blank product is coming in from the suppliers. And this is the product that is ultimately going to go out to the decorators after we pick it through the system.
Basically, the lumping process is a detailed receipt out of the truck onto pallets for directed put away.
So the WMS is triggering the replenishment for product that needs to go into the system. And that will generate a task to come into this area and pick some of this product and bring it over to the decant area.
Right, so that's where we'll see this mana board travel up and down this aisle, pick individual cases, and bring them over to decanting.
So we're here at the decant stations, and given the volume that we pick in a day, up to 70,000 lines, we really had to be mindful of designing an efficient and optimized decanting process. So we induct about 6,000 totes per day to make sure we keep the system topped off.
You're currently putting single SKUs in a tote. Did you have to do anything special?
Single SKU per tote really allows us to be as efficient as possible with the decant process. When we started looking at this, we realized that part of the efficiency here was going to be the ability to put a single case into a single tote and not have to split it up. So we worked together with Geekplus and S&S, and we designed a custom tote that's actually 100 mil taller than the normal totes. And that allows us to get about 80% of all SKUs fitting into a single tote per case.
Wow, that's a lot more efficient.
Absolutely.
And now you have roughly 14 induction areas?
We've got 14 induction lanes here for our 2 induction stations, and that allows the site to be really flexible in scaling up and down as those replan requirements change through the day.
So this is the actual process of decanting, taking the case and putting it in the tote. Tell me how that works.
First of all, we get empty totes arriving on this top conveyor here. And it doesn't matter what was in that tote previously. We can grab any empty tote and use it to decant any product. So we'd grab an empty tote off here. Using this custom developed system screens here, we're then able to scan a label on the cases, which tells the system what product we're decanting. We can transfer the contents into the tote. We finish by scanning the tote ID, which tells the system what tote we put that product into. And at that point, the message gets sent from the WMS over to the pop pick system of, hey, this tote is going to arrive. It's going to have this product in it with this quantity.
That sounds very efficient to me.
Absolutely. And a lot of thought and design went into making this a process that really required as few touches as possible, as well as being very ergonomic. Even instead of having to lift this case onto the table, we can just press a button to feed the next case on.
What do you do with the empty cartons when you're done with emptying them into the totes?
Yeah, so a great thing that S&S do is they actually reuse those cartons for outbound shipments. So, which is great for the environment. And so empty cases, after we do the decant, they'll throw it onto this top takeaway conveyor, and they will actually go to an area where someone will clean those up and then take them over to the picking area.
Great. Sounds economical and efficient.
Absolutely.
Here's an interesting setup. We've got 4 different conveyors. Can you tell us a little bit about what's happening here?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is really the next stage after decant, where we still see our full totes coming in from the decant process down the bottom, our empties going out towards the decant process here on the top, and our corrugate return at the very top. This station right in front of us, so this conveyor, is part of the quality control system that we've implemented here. Part of the benefit of having product in totes is, as we're bringing that product in, we're able to weigh it and run other control checks on that product before it gets into the system, and ultimately catch something before it actually makes it into the system if it's wrong.
So this tote is actually flagged for QC inspection?
Yeah, so we check for a couple of different things. We make sure that they've put the tote on the conveyor in the correct orientation. We also check that we don't have any products sticking up above the top of the tote. And really I would say the most useful part of this quality control station is that we weigh each tote.
So you get an accurate count of the totes and the pieces that are being inducted before they are inducted.
Yeah, and we're actually able to catch some stuff here where in the past it may have been attributed to operator error, where we're finding that maybe the product was mislabeled coming in initially.
And you have a certain tolerance that you're measuring against for this to be diverted?
Yeah, exactly. And we can control that tolerance. We have it set to about 5 pieces at the moment, but that can be controlled in the WMS.
In a warehouse and logistics environment, you always get what you measure. So explain to me what we're looking at here.
Yeah, absolutely. So giving the team visibility into what is a pretty complex system, what's happening out there and how well it's being used was really central to optimizing the way that the site was leveraging this system.
So over here you've got, it looks like you're measuring your inbound and providing a dashboard for that. Tell us a little bit about what you did there.
Yeah, so one of the newer tools that we were able to use here is the Geekplus dashboarding tool, which is extremely flexible and it allows us to go in and write custom SQL queries depending on what information we're looking for. So we've developed a range of dashboards to give visibility into everything from receiving, as we can see here with the inbound dashboard, where we track number of totes and number of units that we've inducted so far today. We're also tracking workstation efficiency, both across the entire system, but also down to individual workstation levels.
So that's what we're seeing down here?
That's what we're seeing down here, and this is a rolling 60-minute view. So we're tracking things like the number of units per line that we've picked on each station. And we can also see the differences between different associates in how they're picking over the last hour.
Right. So it looks like on this upper screen here, you have a satellite view of the entire operation. It looks like it's actually moving and reflecting effectively a digital twin of what's going on in the facility.
Yeah, this is the what we call the robot management system, the RMS, and it gives us a live view of what's happening out there on the floor. And we can zoom in on specific stations here to see the bots bringing specific racks up to a specific station.
So this is a workstation and that's a robot?
That's right. So we can see here, what we have here is the queuing of the robots in front of the workstations. And we can see that in front of all these stations, we have a number of robots that are basically waiting for their turn to present the product to the picker.
Wow, that's some detail. And you can drill in deeper than this as well?
There's a lot of tools within this, so we can look at, what rack is a robot carrying, what robot is carrying what rack, what product is on what rack, and so forth. So this is a tool that we use every day. Not only to see what's happening out there, but it also gives us a lot of control as needed.
Can you see this on a laptop, say in an office, or maybe on a tablet someplace else?
A lot of the techs here will carry tablets, same with the supervisors, so they can get the live view of this at any time. And it's also something that we as Infios and Geekplus can connect up to remotely if we need to provide support or if we need to provide some guidance and training to the people on site.
That's got to be very helpful in pinpointing challenges and opportunities within the facility.
Absolutely, and one tool in particular to call out is what we call the map playback. So we can actually go back in time here and replay the events in a certain time frame. So even if we didn't catch something happen live, we can go back and look at it after the fact and see exactly what happened.
What a troubleshooting tool that must be. A single AMR is moving as many as 40 totes on a single rack. Let's talk a little bit about how the system is being optimized to have the right totes on the right racks.
One of the key advantages with this system is that we're able to optimize what goes on each rack. And so when we bring that rack up to a workstation for a picker, what we want to do is try to make that move as useful as possible. So with the one move, we want to try to pick as many products as we can. And the system, because of the nature of the totes in the rack, we're actually able to do what we call dynamic slotting. So overnight, we're able to run the workstations unmanned and have it bring up racks and move totes between racks.
So you're saying you automatically dynamic slot each of these racks?
We do. So we have a process that we run when we're not using the facility for picking. So typically overnight or over the weekend, we will set it up to do those tote moves and build up what we call optimized racks. And within this industry, the key thing that we normally try to get together on a rack will be items of the same, what we call style, color, and size. Because the nature of the orders tend to call for multiple lines within that same kind of family.
Wow, that's tremendously powerful in terms of robot efficiency and picking efficiency. And it sounds like it layers on top of the ability to automatically and dynamically slot the racks themselves. So with your A movers forward and your B movers further back.
Yeah, the flexibility of the system is really key to that. And we work very closely with Geekplus and with S&S to really set those reslotting tasks up to be as advantageous and as tailored for S&S's type of product that we're picking here. Continuing
on with the collaboration and the continuous improvement that we work together on, let's talk a little bit about the put wall and how some of the key areas that our collaboration brought to this project.
Yeah, good question. So one of the things, as we kind of mentioned earlier in the decant area, was that S&S will reuse the inbound cartons and use them for their outbound orders.
Sure.
And
is that what we're seeing here?
That's what we're seeing here. So rather than doing a pick operation and then having to take that product over to like a separate pack station, we're doing it once. We're picking it and putting it once, and then that's done. But that did add some challenges because
how do you know what size box to put in here?
Exactly. So we worked together with the Geekplus team to develop some customized functionality where we can actually use the put to light modules that we have on here to tell what we call the packer what box to put into each location. Exactly. So this looks like an A box. So it would read an A on here to tell the packer that, hey, in this location, we need to grab an A box.
Oh.
Adding on to that, we also, we wanted to make sure that this part of the process didn't slow down the picking.
Sure.
What we were worried would happen was that maybe if the person behind here couldn't keep up, it would slow the picker down. So we actually made these two processes be completely asynchronous. The system is going to start going out and grabbing the next order or the lines for the next orders even before we'll put the box here. And in some cases, if we don't have time to put the box here yet, they can still pick and put the items to the location. And then when we get the box there, we can just transfer them into it. So we're really mindful of making sure that we didn't want this part of the process to slow down picking at all.
Right. So how many carton tenders do you have supporting a single workstation?
It really depends. We're probably at one packer per 3 or 4 stations.
Wow.
Depends a little bit on the volume and how busy they are in a given day.
Yeah, it looks like you've got some smaller racking here as well. How do you utilize that?
This section here in the middle is for our bagged orders.
Okay.
So the WMS will actually use cartonization to figure out what size box to use.
Okay.
And for very small orders, it's going to be more economical to send them out in a bag. What we wanted to do was split those off because we can fit a lot more of those at a station. And with a system like this, the more open orders we have, it gives us opportunity to match up and get that higher hit rate.
So the same picking station can pick to bagged orders or various size carton orders, and that's all directed by the system?
Absolutely. To a picker, other than, being told to put it to this location versus into a box, there's really no difference.
Yeah. Well, that offers a lot of flexibility, and it's got to help the picker in terms of efficiency as well.
It does. It gives us the opportunity to, every time we get a rack up, to pick a few extra lines from that rack.
Right. So we've got flashing lights here, Carl. Walk us through what happens next.
Flashing light here on the back of the put wall indicates that this order has been completed and that we printed the label for this order as well as the pack slip. So at this stage, the packer on the back of the put wall would pick that up, confirm that it's been taken away, and then bring it over to one of these outbound conveyors. And the outbound conveyors are really a buffer area where completed orders will sit awaiting pickup. So that will get taken to this conveyor here. And then they have people driving up and down here to pick the finished orders and take them to the outbound shipping conveyor.
You have a carton here with a flashing light. It's got a completed label, and then it just comes to here.
They'll move it here. They'll press this button to tell the system that it's been removed.
Okay.
And at that point, this location can now be reused for another order.
And it's as simple as that you've got a completed order here, and somebody's taking that over to an outbound sorter.
Exactly.
This is the robotic pick station here. It looks like we've got two screens. This time it looks like we've just got one worker. Can we handle two associates here?
Yeah, so we have the option to work a station with either with one or two associates at the same time. And these stations really are part of the flexibility of this system. And we spent a lot of time with the design of this area in particular to make sure we had a smooth picking experience.
So this is a workstation and this is a workstation, or one person can work either workstation.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
So a couple of things that we did for the first time here was the model of the workstation that we're using has the pick-to-light modules right at the workstation. That allows us to, unless we have an exception that we need to deal with, such as a short or confirming that a tote is empty, we don't have to interact with the screen at all. So it speeds the process up and it takes out a lot of that reaching.
Yeah, I guess touches and motion are non-value added if they're not really helping speed the process.
Absolutely.
So I like the ergonomic level of this. We've got the product right here for the operator to pick out of. That's different than most goods-to-person systems that we've worked on in the past, where we had to go up a ladder or reach a high or reach low.
Yeah, absolutely. What we actually did, mentioned earlier how we went with a slightly taller tote. So we actually put in a raised floor here that we're standing on to maintain that ergonomic picking experience. Some other things to call out, and this again was the first for this project, is we have load cells under each of these 4 presentation points.
So each of these are a scale?
Correct, yeah. And so what we do is every time a tote comes up, before we pick from it and after we pick for it, we weigh it. And
so
then
you
we do
QC each pick. Wow.
Exactly. We're kind of getting that cycle counting functionality automatically without having to manually do it.
What did S&S benefit from that?
A couple of things. First of all, it reduced their requirements for cycle counting significantly. We also have the ability to catch errors here. So the system will check to see, is the difference in the tote before and after larger than we think it should be, and with some tolerance. And if it is, it's actually going to pop up a warning on the screen and ask the picker to confirm that, they really did pick the correct quantity. again, we have the pick to light. We confirm the pick simply by pressing the pick to light. And then we have the put to light on the put wall here behind us. That, again, we confirm that the pick is complete. One of the first for us here was using real-time pick messages. So every time we do a pick and the put, we're sending a real-time message back to the WMS. The WMS is listening for that, and when we confirm the last pick has been completed, it's going to print out the shipping label as well as the pack slip from a printer at each station, which happens almost instantaneously. The added benefit of that is because it's building up that list with each pick, the pack slip is able to have it in the sequence it was picked from. So when the customer receives the order on their side, they can go through it and basically check it off in the order that it comes out of the box.
Yeah, that's got to keep a stack of sportswear organized and certainly much easier to receive that way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And another thing to call out here is with the flexibility of the workstation, we use the same workstation for picking as we do if we want to do cycle counting. And in some cases, we can also do what we call a top-off put-away. So most of the product we're going to get through the decant area because it's by far the most efficient.
Sure.
But for example, for return product, we don't want to use up an entire tote for one or two pieces. So we'll bring it over here, and we've developed a custom returns process where we basically do a reverse pick. We load the product into the put wall, and then the system is going to call the tote up, and we'll return it to the tote it should go into.
Well, it seems like any return product goes to the top of the, and possibly is the next pick out. That makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. And really, when we looked at this part of the process, we knew we needed something that was going to be super efficient and optimized because we're picking up to 70,000 lines in a day. That could be 400,000 pieces.
Wow.
So every little second we can save here, and every opportunity to make this more ergonomic is going to be super important because we're doing so many picks in a day across the system.
70,000 lines, 300,000 piece picks a day. That's a tremendous amount of volume, regardless of what industry you're in. There was a lot of thought that went into the induction process. Traditionally, this is a very manual process. So from decanting of full cartons into totes, you would normally manually put them into the system into a location. Let's talk about how your thought process drove this level of automation that we think is transformative and now is being replicated across the globe on this solution.
The induction process of totes, so getting product into the system and also bringing empty totes out so we can do the decant into those, is really critical given the volumes that we're going through the system in a day. So pretty early on, we realized that the manual process of doing it was really going to become a bottleneck. And we worked closely with the Geekplus team and the S&S team to kind of come up with a system where instead of having the operator at the station, we were able to have conveyors going up to and coming from the station so that we didn't have to interact directly with the station. And that really had a number of benefits. First of all, the station is much faster than what a normal decanter can handle. So if we had people manually doing decanting at the station, we'd have a lot of unused capacity.
I think you mentioned there was 6,000 totes going in every day.
Yeah.
So that really means that you need 6,000 totes coming out of the system each day. So that's a lot of volume out of a system like this.
It definitely is. And instead of just having 2 decanters per workstation, the way we built it, we're able to go to 7-to-1 with our 14 decant lines for the 2 stations.
Wow.
So it really gives us a lot of efficiency. It also allows us to standardize and decouple those processes. And as you mentioned, getting 6,000 totes in also means we need to get 6,000 empties out. To make that part of the process as efficient as possible, we actually run our dynamic slotting at night to also group empties onto racks together. We can bring a rack up that's full of empties, get all of those kicked off, and then pick up another 20 onto that new rack.
So the same station harvests empties out and places fulls back in.
It does, and it's really a one-to-one, right? Because typically it's a closed system. Every tote going out, we want to come back in with full of product. And this is really where that touch point between the WMS and the pop pick system happens. So after the decant process is done over at the decant stations, the WMS will send a message down to pop pick to say, hey, this tote is going to come down at one of the stations. We don't really care which one it goes through, but it tells the pop pick what product is in that and how many. And the moment it goes into a rack, it's now going to be available for allocation and picking.
Yeah, so I think there was a surprise just when we were going live with the system at how easy it was to load the system initially with totes using this technology as well.
Yeah, so when we were planning for the project, we were kind of expecting having to manually put the totes into the racks, which is going to be extremely time consuming. But then we kind of looked at this and said, hey, why don't we just put all the empties in on this to load them for the first time? And it made that part of the process so much easier than it would have been otherwise. I think the other thing to call out here is the interface between the conveyor and the pop pick is extremely simple. We're only using some relay logic here to call for the next tote, but it has not failed. I don't think it's failed once in the millions and millions of totes we've been inducting over the past year. So this part of the process is running extremely well. Thank you for joining us. This has been a great opportunity to show some of the unique things that we've done here and really that we continue to do. S&S is a company that really looks to continually optimize and always looks for the next opportunity. And I think that works really well with a partnership between Infios and Geekplus as well, and really approaching it from a problem-solving perspective. And how do we get the best solution and how do we continue to tweak that solution?
This has really been a team effort, and I think some great new innovations have come out of it. And as we continue to build momentum, both on velocity and accuracy, I look forward to working with you and your team as we continue forward.
Absolutely, likewise. I think the teams complement each other really well, and I think we work really well with the team from S&S, who've been absolutely fantastic throughout this journey.